State security on the front burner as plenary resumes at the National Assembly.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is serious about the peace of Nigeria.
Information Ministry begins comprehensive performance appraisal for heads of agencies and parastatals to fast-track delivery.
To ensure that we not only enlighten Nigerians about these key elements of the President's vision.
Federal government advancing initiatives for private sector growth in healthcare and lacks value chain.
Yes, we want to partner with you and to be.
Hello and welcome to the Network News on NTA. I'm Elizabeth Omori. Hingino John Adams will be reading from Lagos. Benny Adams, our busy businessman, is always ready with business reports. Benny?
Well, from business is sharing news from the managers of Nigeria's economy, where Nigerians are navigating through the global tariffs with ease.
All right, and Bade Adeleye has the thrills of sports. Bade.
Well, Elizabeth, 50 minutes or thereabouts from now, we'll get to know the first finalist of this year's UEFA Champions League, with Inter up against Barcelona.
Thank you, gentlemen. And just a reminder that you can watch this newscast live on all our social handles displayed on the screen. Now the news. The recent spate of defections into the central ruling party, the All Progressives Congress APC, has been attributed to the leadership quality and performance of President Bola Tinubu. Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule said this in an interview with State House correspondents after his meeting with the president. The governor, who acknowledged that the social and economic reforms of the president are yielding tangible results, said this is also leading to more popularity for the APC.
What they are seeing with that, they are the people who are returning to the party. So I think the party is doing well, and for that reason, the president is also doing well. And that is the reason why people are joining. I don't believe, by the slightest of imagination, that we are going to be a one-party state. There is no way we can be a one-party state, but every party wants to be the dominant party. Every party wants to win elections. Every party wants to be able to give back to society and to give back to the people. And I think that's what our party is doing. No matter what happens, there are people who are going to be in another party. And actually, we don't even want Nigeria to be a one-party state. We just want to be the dominant party. We just want to be the winning party. We just want to be the party with the, if we can win 90% of the votes, okay, that's it. The other parties can win 10% of the vote.
The Sheriff Oborewori of Delta State, the latest sitting governor to join the ruling party recently from People's Democratic Party, PDP, also visited President Bola Tinubu at the State House this Tuesday. State House correspondent Musbau Danwahab reports that details of their meeting were not made public. To infrastructure development, policies of the current administration on economic recovery and infrastructural development are gradually yielding the desired result as every geopolitical zone of the nation is being carried along. Kenneth Nanim reports that Works Minister David Umahi leveraged opportunity of a solidarity visit by the Renewed Hope strategic stakeholders of the APC to explain federal government's efforts to unite economic corridors of Nigeria through massive road projects.
Though united by the progressive mantra, the issues on the front burner here are of national interest. Works Minister David Umahi explains that the federal government is building massive infrastructure as the lifewire of development that connects people and economies, ensuring sustainability of agribusiness value chain, human capital development, commerce and industry, services and investments alike.
What the president did is to direct that we should prioritize all the inherited projects along the economic corridor of the nation. And we came up with about 440, to give life to. And of course, the president started over 65 projects, new projects, all within the economic corridor of the nation. And you start with the 4 legacy projects, and I've always said that the 4 legacy projects are not just road and bridges, projects. They are investments.
To ensure quality work is delivered to Nigerians, especially those at the state and community levels, adequate supervision of the projects is key, and the party chieftains therefore seek partnership with the ministry.
I've always watched how you get to sites, and where you are not satisfied with the contractors, you take immediate action. Your Excellency, we want to be the catalyst towards those actions.
Urging Nigerians to support President Bola Tinubu's administration and his commitment towards Nigeria's unity and economic resuscitation. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Now to activities on the floor of the National Assembly. The Senate has resolved to organize a national security summit involving delegates from all tiers of government, traditional institutions, civil society organizations, security experts and other Nigerians to find solutions to the challenges of insecurity in the country. The Committee on Finance also laid its report on the tax reform bills for consideration and passage as plenary resumes. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali brings us details.
Resuming plenary with renewed energy, the lawmakers wasted no time in adopting resolutions, among which is the convening of a fact-finding national security summit, as requested by Senator Jimoh Ibrahim and 3 others in a motion calling for a way out of the current security situation, which is becoming a threat to the economy.
No country will allow a citizen to understand security by living with insecurity. We must eradicate insecurity.
Another very important issue is to have a state police.
We have attempted various forms in terms of solutions, and they have not given the desired results. There is nothing that stops us from continuing to explore all means.
So we will discuss the issue of recruitment, because I believe that the security operatives are as good as their training. We also have to look at the strength of the fighting forces in the country. Are they sufficient to combat the rising insecurity?
Also adopted is the motion from Senator Kawu Sumaila on the killing of travelers in Uromi, Edo State, and that of Senator Anthony Siakayaru in relation to the tragic Easter Monday incident in Billeri, Gombe State, which left scores dead.
Encourages the governor of Edo to expedite the ongoing investigation, ensure the prosecution of those found culpable, and facilitate prompt payment of adequate compensation for the brave families.
There's a bill before us which is intended to regulate the affairs of hunters. You have hunters in every part of the world. You have hunters. So I think there's a need we pass that bill so that we can regulate their affairs.
Urge the Nigerian Police and the Federal Road Safety Commission, as well as other relevant security agencies, to provide adequate security and ensure strict adherence to road safety measures to forestall future occurrence.
A minute silence was observed for the victims. Senate is set to pass the tax reform bills as the Committee on Finance laid the report for consideration. Senate has, in the meantime, set up an ad hoc committee chaired by the Senate leader, Ukpeyemi Bamidele, to oversight the activities of the sole administrator of Rivers State. President of the Senate, while welcoming members of the Red Chamber from the 5 weeks of break, reaffirmed the commitments of lawmakers to support the executive on reforms in the economic, security, education and other sectors for the peace and progress of Nigeria. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Meanwhile, plenary has resumed at the House of Representatives, where a resolution was passed to investigate the resurgence of terrorist activities in the northeast geopolitical zone and other parts of the country. The House also received the 2025 Federal Capital Territory budget proposal of 1.78 trillion naira, transmitted by President Bola Tinubu. National Assembly correspondent Mitari Ikmen reports.
Lawmakers resume plenary with renewed vigor to legislate on critical issues affecting Nigerians. Speaker Tajuddin Abbas indicates that the coming weeks will be busy as the House accelerates action on constitution review, concurrence with Senate on tax reform bills, flood emergency preparedness, and oversight of the state of emergency in Rivers State. There was a resolution for decisive military onslaught against terrorist activities in the northeast.
To investigate the cause of fire incident at Giwa Barracks, Amobi, and report back to the House for immediate action.
This is unacceptable, Mr. Speaker. We must stand up and find a way of bringing this issue of insecurity to order.
We don't have enough personnel in these communities. If you go to Kalabalge, we have handful of them. It is the civilian JTF and the hunters and the rest that are complementing the airport.
We lost so many constituents because Boko Haram is using armed drones. Let it be on record. They are using armed drones, weaponized drones, which the Nigerian army is not using.
The House unequivocally condemns these attacks on innocent citizens. We acknowledge the need for renewed investment in security intelligence.
The Federal Capital Territories 2025 budget proposal of 1.78 trillion naira submitted by President Tinubu targets completion of ongoing projects and provision of social amenities for the territory's swelling population.
The 2025 FCT budget proposal prioritizes investment in healthcare services, job creation, youth empowerment, social welfare services, education, infrastructure, as well as increasing productivity in agriculture.
The House witnessed another round of defections as 6 lawmakers from Delta State announced resignation from the PDP to join the APC, while 2 Labour Party lawmakers from Enugu State also defected to the PDP. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
In another news, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has commenced a comprehensive appraisal of the performance bonds he signed with heads of agencies and parastatals under his watch to fast-track delivery. During one of such engagements, the government's spokesman assured that the 8-point agenda of the federal government is impactful. Sali Ugwanara reports.
Since inception, the administration of President Bola Tinubu has developed a structured agenda to achieve a renewed hope initiative by all ministries, departments, and agencies with a tracking system to ensure compliance. This tracking system is being managed by the Central Result Coordinating Unit. As the administration approaches mid-term, heads of agencies under the Ministry of Information and National Orientation, as key drivers of the policies, are here to rub minds with their supervisor on the journey so far.
The President has 8 key priority areas that is guiding his vision for Nigeria in the first term of his administration. Now, we as Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, our job and our strategy is to design a way to enhance transparency, promote good government policies, counter misinformation, and foster national orientation in alignment with the administration's priorities. In other words, what is it that the ministry is doing to ensure that we not only enlighten Nigerians about these key elements of the President's vision, but also where there are challenges as transparently and as honestly as possible. Of course, this is what we have set out to do from the beginning, and we will continue to do that.
The ministry's mandate to lead the management of the image and reputation of the people and government of Nigeria through a professional and dynamic public information system that facilitates access and feedback by citizens and the global community is on steady progress. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
Now, Vice President Kashim Shettima has charged African countries to collectively work towards strengthening foundations of its digital economy through proactive steps that secures a vibrant future for the youth. The VP gave the charge in a message to the 8th Network of Data Protection Authorities Conference ongoing in Abuja. Ayodeji Makinde reports.
Africa is growing on frontiers of possibilities with countries set for more collaboration on data protection and privacy. Network of Africa Data Protection Authorities are joined by the diplomatic corps, cybersecurity experts and top government officials to deepen the foundations of compliance, enforcement and knowledge sharing from the Nigerian model of operation.
Human beings, regardless of gender, share common characteristics that it's necessary to safeguard, preserve their rights of personal data in this evolving digital landscape.
I urge all member states yet to enact and implement the data protection regulations to do so without delay, as strong data protection laws are not barriers to innovation, but enablers of inclusive digital economy.
Nigeria went further to launch the first ever virtual privacy academy with Vice President Kashim Shettima, represented by his Deputy Chief of Staff, lauding the leadership of Nigeria Data Protection Commission for its initiative in bolstering digital economy in the last 3 years, with 33,000 plus new jobs.
We must ensure that our value chains are secure, fair, and transparent. This is not just about compliance, it is about trust.
Nigeria's legal framework on data protection is globally recognized as one of the most progressive. More importantly, our data protection ecosystem is now directly tied to the delivery of the 8 presidential priorities of this administration.
There will be 5 plenary sessions, 2 masterclasses and other strategic engagements from participants from over 30 countries. NATPA was established in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso in 2016. In Abuja, Ayodeji Makinde, NTA News.
A bit from the Judiciary, the Federal High Court has ordered the prosecution counsel to the alleged terrorism acts against Nnamdi Kanu to serve the defendant all documents and materials needed for trial in the interest of justice. The presiding judge, Justice James Omotosho, gave the order when attempts to tender a letter and video in evidence by the prosecution was objected to by the defense counsel. Judiciary correspondent Austin Ayebe reports.
Proceeding commenced with the conclusion of the cross-examination of the first prosecution witness by the defense counsel Kanu Agabi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Agabi's son sought to know from the first prosecution witness whether he was aware that 8 out of the 15 counts charged bordering on incitement of members of the public against the officers of the Nigerian police, government infrastructure, and breaking away of some states in the east, south, and north-central from Nigeria, preferred against the defendant, have been struck out by the court. The witness said he was not aware of such development. After the discharge of the first witness, the prosecution proceeded to call the second witness. Led in evidence, the witness, who is a personnel of the DSS, told the court that he took the statements of the defendant in 2021, following a letter they received from the Attorney General of the Federation requesting the service to investigate him on an alleged act of terrorism. He said the interview was conducted in the presence of his counsel and some directors of the DSS. The witness said the defendant in the interview admitted to be the leader of IPOP and ESN, as well as the founder of Radio Biafra, which was not registered by the Nigerian government. The prosecution counsel Adegboyega Awomolo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, proceeded to tender the letter from the Attorney General of the Federation and the audiovisual recording of the said interview, but were objected to by the lead counsel, Kanu Agabi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. The defense counsel said the materials sought to be tendered were not on the list of documents pleaded, more so that they were not served. Justice James Omotosho upheld the objection of the defense counsel and directed the prosecution to serve the defendant all the documents and materials that are to be used as evidence in the case in the interest of justice.
The documents they wanted to rely on were not served on the defense. And indeed, the court doesn't even have copy. So the court agreed to their suggested adjournment for tomorrow.
The case continues Wednesday, 7th May 2025 for continuation of examination in chief of the second prosecution witness. Meanwhile, the court barred one of the relatives of the defendant from attending 3 consecutive sittings for streaming live the court proceedings. In Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
Meanwhile, a case instituted by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission against former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello has been stalled before a High Court of FCT, Maitama, Abuja. Although the defendant was present in court for continuation of his trial, presiding judge Justice Mary Ann Anene was absent as she was said to be indisposed. No date has been fixed for the trial to continue. Similarly, former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Governor Godwin Emefiele, was present in court in continuation of his trial, which was also stalled for same reason. Emefiele is being prosecuted by the EFCC over his allegation that he unlawfully printed new notes without authorization. You're watching the Network News on NTA. It's time to take a break. The news continues shortly. Glad to know you're still there. The federal government is improving business environment to make it more conducive for business owners operating in the country within the ambit of a strong legal system to enhance business operations. Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi SAN said this at the National Dialogue on Advancing Business and Human Rights in Nigeria. The minister revealed government's plan for wholesale and inclusive implementation of the action plan, with positive results already been observed in the strong bond between government and civil society, with Nigeria being a reference point for responsible business conduct.
In business operations and empower communities, particularly those most vulnerable to rights violations, to actively participate in decisions that affect their lives and livelihoods.
The approval by the Federal Executive Council and the adoption of the National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights marked a defining moment in our national journey to ensuring that economic development and business environment in our country are anchored on respect for human rights and the dignity of all.
The National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights is not just a technical tool. It is a national commitment to protect human dignity.
Is expected to strengthen stakeholders' collaboration for effective business and human rights implementation. And for more on business, let's join our busy businessman, Benny. Benny?
Thank you, Elizabeth. And talking business, now with more tariffs coming from the United States White House, how is the world coping? And by extension, Nigeria. Let's hear from the managers of the economy.
It is the resilience that has been created by the macroeconomic reforms that stabilize the economy that have allowed us to cope with the recent introduction of reciprocal tariffs in America and the turbulence that has caused.
In the MSME space believe that to succeed as a young startup, it takes more than just finance, as many keep thinking.
We're here to make you understand some of these government policies that we think is killing it. No, not at all. Even to understand the possible laws and friendly ways you can impact or you can invent your business and make success.
It's not all about finance though. One, the ability to identify the problem and see opportunity in that problem.
We are creating a solution where they can have 24/7 electricity on an affordable price and also do climate action at the same time, where they stop diesel and solve the energy poverty.
And now looking at the Nigerian stock market, particularly on Tuesday, it sustained positive momentum recorded on Monday, lifted by strong performance of some key stocks. As such, the all-share index rose 156 basis points to close at 108,361.10 basis points, up from 106,698.50 basis points. Monday, as investors gained 1.04 trillion naira, talking about gains hitting the 1 trillion mark, with market capitalization increasing to 68.11 trillion naira. Looking at South Africa, the South Africa JSE top 40 closed flat, not appreciating and not depreciating, to close at 84,543.00 basis points. And for Tunisia Tune Index, it is a positive outlook, though marginal 0.09% to close at 11,314.90 basis points. Looking at the numbers, you know that Nigeria is actually being resilient compared to its peers around Africa. That is it on business at this time. Elizabeth, you can take it from here.
Thank you so much, Benny. Now let's shift attention to health. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Patti, says the federal government has put in place strategic policies and an enabling environment to accelerate private sector growth in Nigeria's healthcare industry. He made the remarks when he received a delegation from the European Commission and the European Investment Bank.
On the public side, the value chain is an important element of it. Of course, the public investment, primary healthcare investments are ongoing, and I think we've had that conversation with the Commission and the investment that you have been making. We're trying to mobilize the heft of the population that we have, the demand that we can mobilize to localize some capabilities for manufacturing.
Commended the minister for his leadership and commitment to unlocking value across Nigeria's healthcare landscape.
Deals that they are willing to support. I think we're looking at about 3 potential companies.
Yes, we want to partner with you and to support you to do this. Both, of course, to create the value chain, to create jobs, to create the capacity for the country, but also to create the EU, African and Nigeria partnership at private sector levels.
Emphasized that the PVAC plays a crucial role in leveraging both public and private sector expertise to drive sustainable progress in the health sector. First Lady Oluremi Tinubu says adopting a collaborative approach will help tackle drug abuse and trafficking in order to build a healthier nation. This was her message to Nigeria governors' wives and key actors on drug supply and reduction at a drug use prevention and treatment training program in Abuja. Drug supply and demand, crucial issues across the globe requiring a multifaceted approach that involves individuals, government and communities. Survey shows that 1 in 5 drug users suffers from disorders that affect productivity. As a government agency with a clear mandate, NDLEA and the Nigeria Governor's Wives are strategizing to come up with adoptable solutions to address the scourge of drug abuse from the home front to society. The First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, and other state actors believe that mobilization of state resources for drug prevention, reintegration and rehabilitation of victims is the task before all.
Continue to provide the right direction through prevention initiatives, advocating for those whose voices have been silenced by addiction, providing community interventions to support recovery.
As patriots and vanguards of our nation's well-being, it falls on us to strengthen our resolve to move with deliberate speed towards practical and lasting solutions that will, God willing, break the vicious cycle of drug abuse.
The governor's wives, who exchanged workable approaches, disclosed that Nigeria needs to prioritize sustainable programs to heighten advocacy on the consequences, backed with stringent policies.
When you see the behavior of your child has changed, you have to investigate. Parents need to sit up and do all these things to see that we reduce the menace of drug abuse as a family.
For us as a state government, we have been working tirelessly to tell the youth that drug does not pay.
They recommend localized interventions, decentralized treatment for affordability, and mandatory drug testing before marriages are contracted. Away from drug reduction, the federal government has approved the launch of the NIN authentication service for secure and seamless identity verification across MDAs. NIMSA says President Bola Tinubu has directed that all government services adopt the platform as part of efforts to strengthen the national identity management system under the renewed hope agenda. To save education, the federal government has put measures in place to ensure that safety of students and teachers in schools across the country, with the Safe Schools initiative is put in place. In Gombe State, the police command has now activated the initiative in collaboration with key stakeholders. Talatu Lamon reports.
Safe Schools initiative is designed to safeguard both public and private schools across Nigeria, ensuring a secure learning environment for students and teachers. At the inauguration forum, speakers highlighted the operational framework of the School Protections Code. The initiative aims to strengthen security, prevent threats, and ensure swift responses to emergency.
The security of our schools determines the security of our future. In this regard, the schools must be protected against all possible threats.
The task of securing our schools cannot be left to the security agencies alone. It requires a collective front from government bodies, school authorities, community members, parents, and indeed every stakeholder.
Principals and students at the event praised the Inspector General of Police for launching the program.
And they will be peer educators to other students on how they can tackle insecurity issues, even within themselves as students.
This will surely help us in part of our academics, will give us more courage in learning.
The Safe Schools initiative, which began full implementation in 2023, is now being expanded to different states for faster emergency response. In Gombe, Talatu Lamon, NTA News.
This is the network news on NTA. It's time to head to Lagos, where Hingino is standing by with some reports. Hingino.
Elizabeth, and welcome to Lagos. The House Committee on Works has commended the professional expertise, pace of work and commitment with which contracts at various major projects within Lagos are carried out under the supervision of the Controller, Federal Ministry of Works, Lagos. Amaka O reports that this was made known by the committee members led by the chairman, Akin Alabi, during an oversight tour to inspect projects firsthand in Lagos.
The Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway is a legacy project of the present administration and considered a catalyst for economic development in all frontiers. This is why the House Committee on Works, led by its chairman, Akin Alabi, in company of the Controller, Federal Ministry of Works, Lagos, Olukorede Keisha and her team, had an inspection of the nearly completed 22-kilometer section of the road.
As for this, I'm super impressed.
And we don't need to give any substandard job to the federal government of Nigeria.
They made a brief stop at the Independence Bridge and had a thorough inspection of the over 3-kilometer shoreline protection project along Outer Marina axis, which was last constructed 4 decades ago.
With what we're doing here now, the lifespan of this road now has increased by more than 25 years. So in the next 25 years, we're not expected to see any failure on that road.
The massive control center that houses over 400 cameras for surveillance and monitoring along the third mainland bridge axis also played host to the legislators.
Definitely going to reduce crime by a large percentage. When they come with another request, the Committee on Works, in conjunction with the Committee on Appropriation, will have no hesitation. We will support them and appropriate good money to complete the project.
Satisfied with the stage of the project, the House Committee on Works urged the contractors not to relent as they promised to support the ongoing projects through their legislative roles. The chairman of the committee also called for adequate sensitization of Lagosians ahead of closure of the Marine Bridge. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
That's it from Lagos. Network News continues with Elizabeth after this break.
Thanks for staying with us. Regional security experts are in Abuja to upscale action against terrorist accusation of improvised explosive devices. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa brings us update from the Counter-Terrorism Center in the Office of the National Security Advisor, Abuja, where experts are tackling the pressing issue of increasing IED attacks by terror groups.
Aside threats related to the proliferation of small and light weapons, the use of improvised explosive devices by terrorists expanded between 2014 and 2022 in West Africa, with Cameroon, Niger, Mali, Cote d'Ivoire, and Nigeria bearing the brunt. IED has become a popular weapon of choice to terrorists due to its accessibility and ability to cause mass destruction. The Small Arms Survey of 2022 indicates more than 2,200 IED-related incidents between March 2014 and September 2022, with 6,600 casualties in the region.
The threat of terrorism knows no border, and it's highly through collaborative efforts such as this that we can effectively confront and defeat this menace.
We consider the capacity-building efforts of the West Africa Capacity Building Working Group and our West African partners more relevant than ever. The agenda of this meeting builds, among others, on the Working Group's regional meeting of 2023, which emphasized the need to strengthen national and regional counter-IED expertise, disrupt the supply chains of IED components, and turn intelligence into evidence.
Threats posed by IED are further compounded based on the fact that the items used for the illegal manufacturing of the device are cheap and easily accessible. The program is focused on sharing knowledge and best practices to consolidate efforts to effectively prevent and counter the acquisition and use of IED by terrorist groups in West Africa. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu greets Senator representing Plateau South Senatorial District in the National Assembly, Senator Simon Bakulalong, on his birthday, underscoring his contributions to the country and dedicated service to Plateau State. In a congratulatory message, the President praised Senator Lalong for his leadership and direction during the 2023 elections when he served as the President's Campaign Director General. Also, President Tinubu sends warm greetings to veteran journalist and former Executive Director of Tel Magazine, Oludare Babarinsa, on his 70th birthday. He salutes the Chairman, Managing Director of Gaskia Media for attaining that milestone and praise for his continued well-being, good health and many more years of impactful service to Nigeria. Another break is apt. Let's take it.
Fly away, oh glory.
We, the family of Chief Edwin Clark from Kiabodo in Burutu local government area of Delta State, cordially invite you to the funeral of our late father, icon and leader, Chief Edwin Clark, OFR, CON. Program of events, Wednesday, 7th May 2025, Memorial Lecture and Tributes. Venue, NAF Conference Center and Suites, Plot 307, Amadou Bello Way, Abuja at 11 a.m. Thursday, 8 May 2025, validatory session. Venue, Senate Chambers, National Assembly Complex, Abuja at 11 a.m. Friday, 10th May 2025, wrestling contest. Venue, Yenogwa at 10 a.m. Service of songs. Venue, St. James Anglican Church, Asokoro, number 39, Haile Selassie Street, Asokoro, Abuja at 5 p.m. Candlelight Memorial. Venue, number 43, Hills Selassie Street, Asokoro, Abuja at 7 p.m. Sunday, 11th May 2025, service of songs. Venue, Royal House of Grace International Church, Port Harcourt at 4 p.m. Monday, 12th May 2025, commendation service. Venue, National Christian Center, Abuja at 8 a.m. Valedictory court session. Venue, High Court of Justice, Warri, Delta State at 10 a.m. 10:30 a.m. Body departs from Abuja to Yenagoa, Bayelsa State. 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Commendation service at Ijo House, Yenagoa, Bayelsa State. 2:30 p.m. Body departs to Warri, Delta State. 6:30 p.m. Lying in state at number 5 Swamp Road, GRA, Warri, Delta State. 7:30 p.m. Body departs to Kiagbodo Town, Delta State. Service of songs and all-night vigil at Kiagbodo Town, Delta State. Tuesday, 13th May 2025, 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Lying in state at Edwin Clark University, Kiagbodo Town, Delta State. 10:30 to 11 a.m. Commendation service at Edwin Clark University, Kiagbodo, Delta State. 10 a.m. Funeral service. 1 p.m. Reception. 5 p.m. Interment. All night vigil. Saturday, 17th May 2025, Novelty Football Match. Team Clark, Izon, Urobo and Ishekiri versus rest of Nigeria. Venue, Main Grammar School Field, Kiagbodo Town at 4 p.m. Sunday, 18th May 2025, Thanksgiving service. Signed, Reynolds Dagogu Jock, Chairman, Pandev Burial Committee, and Mr. Panaway's son for the family.
I'll fly away.
Quick news on NTA, and next is Sports Update with Bade Adile. Bade.
Many thanks, Elizabeth. Now, a two-day capacity building workshop for sports officers and professionals of the National Sports Commission is ongoing at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja. The workshop was declared open Tuesday by the chairman, National Sports Commission, Shehu Diko, who revealed that it came as part of the Commission's efforts to equip the participants with the needed capacity to deliver on the Renewed Hope initiative for Nigerian sports economy, while also being intimated with international best practices in their fields.
The main objective is that we're training our middle officers, who are the key stakeholders in what we are trying to do, because they are the ones implementing the policies and the decision and the vision. So we are bringing them together so we can have a conversation, and then they can be able to also understand more the vision of Mr. President and that we are trying to implement.
With 10 days to the 22nd National Sports Festival in Ogun State, the Torch of Unity for the Games continues its tour of the southern part of Nigeria, touching down in Asaba, the Delta State capital. Deputy Governor Monday Onyeme was on hand to receive the torch, expressing confidence in Team Delta's readiness to successfully defend the crown they won on home soil in 2022.
Delta State has consistently remained at the forefront of sporting excellence in Nigeria. We are immensely proud of our legacy, hosting and triumphantly winning the 2022 edition of the National Sports Festival.
Away from the festival now, straight to football, where the Nigeria under-20 boys will on Wednesday take on their Kenya counterparts in their last group game of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations under-20 Africa Cup of Nations in Egypt. The Flying Eagles are on 4 points in Group B, having won a game and drawn another. A draw against the East Africans will be enough for Nigeria to advance to the quarterfinals. Well, what's sports news tonight without the UEFA Champions League, as Inter Milan and Barcelona are locked in an intense battle for the final slot? Before we gathered, the graphics on the screen now, it was 2-2, and of course, we felt it was going to be really dicey. At the moment, it's 3-2 in favor of Barcelona, the away team. And of course, if it ends that way, Barcelona will be moving to the final. All right, that does it on Sports Tonight. Let's now return to Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Badi, for the updates. President Bola Tinubu sends condolences to the people of Plateau State in Governor Caleb Mutfwang on the passing of Professor Sonny Gwanle Chiuden, a former deputy governor of the state. Professor Chiuden died at the age of 74. The president praises the late professor for partnering along to further develop Plateau State during their 8-year tenure and commiserates with the family. The death has occurred of Mary Ann Asuku at the age of 58, a kind-hearted and hard-working woman reputed to be philanthropic. She was an astute businesswoman with interests in property, transport and commodities. A devout Catholic, she survived by her husband Emmanuel Asuku and children, as well as many siblings and relatives, including veteran broadcaster Eugenia Abu. A vigil mass and a night of tributes will hold on the 7th of May 2025. The funeral service will be at the St. John Paul II Catholic Church, Guzapi, Abuja, on the 8th of May 2025. And here's a quick look at the weather picture for tomorrow, Wednesday.
Here's your 24 hours weather outlook. We're expecting 10 to 20 millimeters of rain across the southern cities and parts of the north central region, but it will be highly localized. Elsewhere within the country, just few light showers or no rain at all, between 0 to 10 millimeters of rain. Temperatures will continue to rise over the north and parts of the central region, so do stay hydrated and avoid prolonged heat exposure. We expect around 39 to 44 degrees Celsius over the northern region, 34 to 38 over the central, while 29 to 33 degrees Celsius across the southern parts of the country. Now a closer look. Morning thunderstorms are likely in parts of Cross River, Akwa Ibom, some parts of Bayelsa and River State. By late afternoon into evening, rain chances increases across the southwest, some parts of the southeastern region, the southern part of Adamawa, Kogi, some parts of Taraba, Nasarawa Plateau, and the Federal Capital Territory. And that's your weather update. Stay safe and keep an umbrella handy. Thank you for watching.
Now you know the weather outlook. Do stay hydrated. And the match between Barcelona and Inter Milan, now 3-3. And that's the news. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Elizabeth Omori.